to spay and neuter your pet friends, or whatever Bob Barker used to say. Can I get a 5x5? Thank you, Dana. 5x5. Awesome. Good morning. My name is Bear from the internet. You can find out more about me at bearindependent.com. Independent. If you can't spell Bear Independent, sucks to be you. Apparently, you could probably chat GPT that shit. Today is the 21st of April, 2025, and we're going to talk about the news a little bit. Garen Clackle-Lackly, loud and clear. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Dana's homesick. I need some prices right today. Yeah, you do. You might win a new washer and dryer. Lauren and I were just talking about that. That's big money, especially in 2025 with the devalued dollar and tariffs and all that. Big, beautiful word, tariffs. Now, it turns out the polling on tariffs, not so great, not so great. Subscribe, ring a little bell icon, share, do all that stuff. YouTube hates us. We got 2 channel strikes already. Patreon is the alternative platform you can find us on. Link is in the description. If you signed up for a free Patreon membership and then saw no content, that's because I don't put anything at the free tier. It's $10 a month. That's my only ask. I don't have an upsell. I don't have a course I'm trying to sell you. I'm not trying to get you into this thing for $9.97. That's it. It's $10. Okay? Okay, Bear. New polling from Newsweek on Mr. Trump. President Donald Trump's approval rating regarding his handling of the economy has plunged to a record low, a new CNBC poll has found. Who? CNBC. Now, specifically, the economy that we're talking about, okay? Blah, blah, blah. The economy is very important to voters, with a Gallup poll showing that they overwhelmingly cited economic pressures as key reasons they voted for Trump in November 2024 presidential election. Me too. Me too. Hoping that we'd get some immediate action on the economy. There was a lot of talk about the border and cutting federal spending and draining the swamp and all these things. And super cool. I like the rhetoric. The rhetoric sounds really good. And I think a lot of people supported President Trump in his 47th presidency because we were hoping, good morning, Radio Made Easy. Upcoming, what's up, Terry? Good morning. Upcoming class here at Refuge headquarters with Radio Made Easy. So if you own a Baofeng radio or any other kind of radio and you don't know how to use the damn thing, if all it's doing is taking up space in your rucksack or your desk drawer, Radio Made Easy is the class for you. You can go to refugemedical.com, click the training tab, you'll find the Radio Made Easy class, okay? Okay. So a lot of people were like, I hope this Trump guy does what he said he was gonna do. Me too. Good morning, Wobby Shalom, brother. I don't know, man. I might have a little buyer's remorse at this point. We will get you heroic levels of competence. That's awesome. Dude, that's a tagline right there. That's a tagline. That should be in all your advertising. And then what you do in the background, right? You have the standard prepper sphere imagery, guy in the gas mask in front of the burning city, right? And he's like, did you fail to prepare? Now you're running an operation to go steal moldy graham crackers from Grandpa? You need to talk back to the rest of your team? Radio Made Easy. We've got you. Heroic levels of competency. Or whatever. But I digress. Trump, the best. Let's talk about Trump. A lot of people voted for this dude because of the economy. And it was almost like a last desperate cry for help. If you're asking me, because the economy's been in shambles since COVID and President Biden did absolutely nothing to assist. Increased spending, increased devaluation of the US dollar, invited 10, 20, 40 million people into the country and put them all on the government tit so that we had to pay for all these people. Not great. Not great for the economy. All right. So, okay, Trump's going to get in there and do something, except that the something hasn't really happened. Mary Rose says the Pope died today. No, the Pope died a month ago, and they're just talking about it today. Did I say the quiet part out loud again? Okay. The Pope died a month ago, and they're just talking about it today. So I don't know who it is that J.D. Vance was meeting with. I don't know if that was the clone of the Pope, the next Pope, a cardboard cutout of the Pope, maybe a body pillow shaped like a Pope. I don't know. But it wasn't the Pope because the Pope died a month ago. Oops. and they just kept it under wraps, and they were waiting for after Holy Week. Thank you, Jason Schmidt, tremendous. Thank you, Jason. Bear, you can't say that. Bjark, sorry, we just spitting facts around here, okay? The Pope's been a corpse for about a month. And I realize, let's parse this out. Let's drosh this out. I realize on the one hand, a large swath of the world's population identifies as Catholic. Cool. Do they confess that Jesus is the Christ, that Yeshua is HaMashiach? Yes, by and large. That's my brother. That's my sister. We disagree on a lot of the details, but they're in the family, okay? Messiah himself says, call no man father but your Father in heaven. So why are we calling the Pope the Holy Father? There's one Holy Father, that's Yahweh Elohim, the Lord our God, creator of the heavens and the earth. The whole pointy hat thing, it's a little weird, you know. Are there elements of worship of Dagon there? And yeah, yes, there are. But Proverbs 24, verse 12, accountability and understanding track together. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can't be held responsible for it, which is why Leviticus chapter 5 on Messiah is hanging on the stake, which we've just celebrated, the death, burial, and resurrection of Messiah, the Most High made flesh. He says, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. Yeah, 100%, which is the embodiment of Leviticus chapter 5, which is an offering for unintentional sin. And, you know, people who live in glass houses shouldn't cast stones, me included, because if we're going to judge people on their pagan scumbaggery, up until I was redeemed by the blood of the Messiah, dude, I was 100% deserving of a rock pile. All that to say, the Pope's been dead for like 4 weeks, not 24 hours. But, you know, we don't talk about that. So they chose when to release the information of the Pope being dead, and it's interesting that that was in concert with J.D. Vance and the visit and the whole nine. It's just weird. What's up, Jeremiah Noble? What's up, brother? So, Trump, the economy, it has warmed up enough that I don't need this hoodie. So bear with me a minute. I got to take this hoodie off, okay? Okay. Okay, T. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. No problem, T. This is Special Operations Equipment hoodie. Comes from Special Operations Equipment. You might have heard of them. They make special operations equipment. And it's really good stuff. I started, since everybody's flipping out about the new cool thing again now, apparently body armor's out, chest rigs are out, everybody's back to war belts and belt loadouts. So over the weekend I was in the team room playing with my war belt and 14 mags, 2 quarts of water, med, knife, radio, a little bit, you know, like poncho, a little bit of snivel gear, stuff like that. 31 pounds. And so, yeah, like that in a day pack, you're at 60 pounds. That in a day pack and a rifle, you're at 70 pounds. TJ, is Lauren's heater on? Rick, what does that even matter? Well, call the store and ask Lauren. Like,
yes, my heater is on.
So back to the economy. The economy is very important. You okay over there, Mike? You good? Rick told me to be silly, didn't he? The economy is very important to voters. It's Monday, y'all. It's Monday. It's Monday. Yeah, you guys know the economy is very important to voters. Blah, blah, blah. After introducing tariffs on trading partners around the world, then pausing many of the changes, markets plummeted, then rebounded, blah, blah, blah. So here's what we want to know. This poll, there's this new poll. It's a big talking point already that I've seen all across the news. Please pray for me. This is American Patriot. Okay, let's do that. Y'all ready? Let's go. Most important thing we can do today. Good morning, Father Yahweh, creator of the heavens and the earth. Father, we don't know what American Patriot is going through, but you do. And so I pray that you would be near to him, I'm assuming, her, you know, I don't know. That you'd be with them, that you would minister to their hearts, that whatever they are going through would be nothing but a stumbling block, just a little roadblock on the road of life. And Father, that you would give them peace that surpasses all understanding, and that you would lift them up and build them up and let them remember that the darkness belongs to you too, and that this entire walk that we lead is just an effort to come closer to you and learn more about you and be better conformed to your ways in the model of Messiah. So, Father, please remember us, an American patriot today, that we'd get all the things that we need, that you would provide our daily bread, and that we would be able to conduct ourselves in a way to the best of our ability that puts a smile on your face. Father, thank you for Monday morning. Thanks for letting us wake up this morning. Thank you for the breath in our lungs and for people that love us and all the things that we take for granted. Thank you that this whole freaking clown world is make-believe, and the only thing that really matters is you and your sovereignty. Thank you for becoming flesh to redeem us, and that by your blood we would be made clean. And thank you that you are the first fruits of the resurrection, Yeshua, and that we have an expectation of coming home again at the end of an age as well. Father, thank you for all these things, and be with American Patriot. In Yeshua's name, amen. Good. Now that the important thing is out of the way. What to know? Trump polling. According to a CNBC poll, so what's the source? CNBC friendly to Trump? No, not really. Shalom, Cindy P. What's up, sister? Of 1,000 Americans, sample size 1,000. So it begs the question, what kind of respondent to a poll is CNBC gonna get? Probably not me, probably not you. Okay, so, you know, there's probably some purple hair and protest signs involved with this respondents to this poll. Just my assumption, okay? Of 1,000 people, Shalom, Texas T, 1,000 people, not 10,000, not 100,000, not a million, 1,000 people, polled by CNBC. Okay, so data set. I think from jump, the data set is garbage. But let's continue. 43% approve of Trump's handling of the economy, and 55% disapprove. What, the other 20 people didn't feel like having a conversation? JC Fixer, I've never been polled. I used to get calls from pollsters all the time, like a decade ago. Actually, yeah, about a decade ago when I still lived in Texas. I was like, please stop. You don't actually want to know what I think anyway. Like, for your own safety, please stop. Please stop calling me, because there's your little clicky boxes that you have on your poll, yes, no, maybe. It's none of my responses are going to fit into that. And I'm going to radicalize you over the phone before you know it. You're going to be like a wild Messiah serving son of the Most High, little L libertarian, not big L libertarian, little L libertarian. You know, you're going to quit your job and move to the woods and raise sheep with a rifle if you keep calling me. It turns out, apparently, you can build an entire ass YouTube channel out of that concept. But I digress. CNBC polled 1,000 people, 43% or 430 people approve of Trump's handling of the economy, and 55% disapprove. The first time a CNBC survey has shown the president with a net negative on the economy. How interesting. Now, sample size, trash. Data set, trash. Disapprove of the economy. I disapprove of the economy. I mean, me personally, I disapprove of the economy. Lauren, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on the economy?
Down.
Down.
Sure.
Brittany,
Yeah.
thumbs up or thumbs down on the economy?
Down.
Thumbs down? Yeah. Mike, thumbs up or thumbs down on the economy? Thumbs down. Okay. Terry, can you hear me? No, he's busy sewing over there. Bear. Jason said, Bear, you told the pollsters you were naked, so they stopped calling you. Well, it wasn't me telling them, it was the video chat feature that really got them to quit calling. Yeah, it was rough. But anyway, what's up, Striker K? Shalom, brother. I'm thumbs up. Texas Sheep Lady is thumbs up. I'm a gentle down with aspirations. I really want to get to thumbs up on the economy, myself personally. Now, I think it also depends on which sector of the economy we're looking at, because gold is at an all-time high. I'm just confused, Jenna Scissorhands. Me too, and I feel like, so we just spent 4 years being gaslit by the Biden administration over and over again. Things aren't that bad. It's you that's that bad. Everybody, your neighbors are doing fine, right? If you're having an economic problem, it's you. Terry, thumbs up or thumbs down on the economy? Thumbs down with a. Okay, thank you. All right. So, I just spent. What's up, Tato? Good morning.
Hi.
We just spent. Hi. Hey, you, Tato. You might not know this, but Lauren has a crush on you.
So true.
I moved quickly. I was just saying, there's a shot. There's a shot here if you play your cards right. Andrew Ludwig Miola. I love you, Bear. I love you back, Andrew. So, we've been gaslit for 4 years easily by the Biden administration. Everything's fine. If you're having a problem, it's you. It's not everybody else because your neighbors are doing fine. But now I feel a little gaslit by this current administration because they're like, the economy's great, everything's great, tariffs are working perfectly, China, they're begging like a dog. They don't want this fight. It's looking up, folks. Yeah, to which brings us to the point of Swivelhead says, $20 super chat, thank you. Trump is here to manage the bankruptcy of the United States and implement the new financial system. Until then, we may as well run it into the ground. There's no chance of financial recovery for the U.S. I tend to, so here's the thing, big picture. Let's pull back a little bit from this. If I carry an ETD, do I also need to carry S-rolled gauze? Of course, Watchdog, because if we're going to use an ETD to pack wound packing, you got to have something to back the wound packing, or to pack the wound with. Don't have any gauze to put in the wound channel, then the ETD is not going to do anything for wound packing. It works great for lots of other things. For covering up lacerations, for gently dressing head wounds. Hey, look
so
who it is.
fast.
Wow, you did.
Fast.
You moved fast. He did it. Good for you. You got a chance, man. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
They're married in real life. It's wonderful. What's up, Jennifer Lowe? So I think that this Age of Empires, right? TQ left leg. Really, Rick? Left leg? Okay, so I think that this dynasty, the Age of an Empire, is 250 years, right? So, how do we know that Rick is putting a TQ on his left leg? Is he gonna FaceTime the store right now and let everybody know? Rick, we're putting in a 900 number. Okay, it's $5 a minute. Oh, that's a good one. There we go. All right. So, 250-year cycles for empires, right? Well, we're there. I just saw all over social media this weekend. 250 years ago, Paul Revere rode through the blah, 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 and he did Paul Revere stuff. Okay, awesome. So, that's 250 years. So, good morning. So, we could argue at where we are on the timeline. But it's just natural for empires to collapse anyway. And so to Swivelhead Medic's point, we're already at the end of the age of an empire. And so managing the downfall of an empire, what I would like to know is, do we have ambitions to rise from the ashes like a phoenix, if you will? Or are we just going to let this thing fall by the wayside? Now, the point that I like to make is the Roman Empire is gone, but there are still Romans in Rome. I want to be, for lack of a better word, that. I don't want to be a Roman, but okay, if the American Empire falls, I don't want to fall with it. TQ check should be $20 chat minimum, says Kia Chris. That's a great point because my left foot is now numb. Ah! Hold on. This friggin' thing. I don't know how this tripod works, but there. Okay? There it is. She's on. Not trying to give you guys a crotch shot or anything. That's just a little weird. Shout out to Spicy Snafu for the cool shirt. Thanks, guys. Index. Okay. Index. Got it. So if the empire is falling, I don't want to fall with it. Which brings us back to preparedness. Which I think, at least for me, I don't know about y'all, but for maybe the last 12 months or so, if I'm being frank, preparedness has been a little boring. It's been a little boring because it's like, I got it. Stockpile food, have med gear, have water, Have homies, have guns and know how to shoot them. Do your area study. Make sure your radios are programmed. It's like, well, maybe the world won't end if Orange Man Bad gets back into office, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I don't think it's gonna be okay, or whatever version of okay we get is gonna look different than the version of okay that we've already had. Maya Rivka, dang, I'm late. You are. Burpees, 20 of them. Go. We've been going for 20 minutes. You owe me 20 burpees. I actually have a lot of ground that I'm trying to cover in today's show, and we're just, instead, it's Monday morning, and so we're just bouncing all over the place because I'm super engaged with the chat this morning. So anyway, I wanted to bring up this poll because the polling data says, and you're going to hear this repeated all throughout the Twitter sphere, the prepper sphere, the news. I hate burpees. Me too, Lamppost. Good morning, Lamppost. Me too. I don't know anybody that, does anybody love burpees? Do you love burpees?
I hate burpees.
Hate them. They're the worst.
I've spent a lot of time in the gym, and I go out of my way to not do burpees.
Burpees are one of those things where like somebody else has to make you do burpees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least for me.
If I were going through buds or something, hell yeah.
If we were working out, right, or we're training or whatever, and you're like, all right, everybody, burpees. I'd be like, okay, but I'll do them.
I'm out.
But I'll do them because we're all doing them together. But for like me to get up and go out in the driveway, it is a thing, right? Like mutual suffering, it's good. That's a thing. But for me to wake up, walk outside, get in the driveway, and be like, burpees. Nope.
Yeah.
No, like I have not risen to the level of discipline yet where I will go make myself do burpees. I will, hey, let's put this rucksack on and walk all day. Cool.
I haven't been to the gym in just over 2 months now.
Yep.
And I'm struggling to get myself to do push-ups.
Oof. You've been very deployed here lately, though.
Yeah.
You pull up a chair. I was gonna read this thing anyway.
Is there a chair over there?
There's not. There's a bunch over there from the meeting yesterday. If you want to grab one.
Sure.
So here's what we want to know about the polling. It's a small data set. It's 1,000 people, and it comes from CNBC. So when you see this reported over and over and over again in the circular reporting that's invariably going to take place over the next 24, 72 hours, understand that yes, I don't get a warm fuzzy about the, Thanks, Doug Bucher. This is Tactically Torah. He also has a YouTube channel. You should be subscribed to it. I don't get a warm fuzzy about the economy myself personally, the data set is jacked. Okay, so that 400 has been your workout, Tato. Oh, said Kyle. Kyle sent me an email this morning that I'm gonna read to y'all. I'm gonna redact a couple of names, but so you've been very deployed with Grindstone this spring.
Mm-hmm.
Where have you been so far this spring?
Ada, Oklahoma, Collins, Mississippi, and Selmer, Tennessee.
Yep. Good job.
Thank you. Praise Yah. I mean,
Praise Yah.
I say it all the time, but it's legitimately a tangible opportunity to show and prove the love of the Father. And, without those chaotic situations happening in those locations, I'm willing to bet that if you would have gone and knocked onto any one of those doors and said, hey, let's talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
Except for one woman. She'll talk to you about Jesus all day, every day. And she's happy to do it. But they probably would have shut the door in your face.
Yeah. Dude.
And, well, I do say it quite often is that, people don't really care what you know until they know how much you care. And, that's just an opportunity to show and prove the love of the Father across the board. And then their hearts are open to receive what the Father is wanting to speak to them in this situation.
Perfect preamble to this email that came in. I'm going to read the mail with you guys a little bit. So, a little bit of a Monday hodgepodge here. And I'll redact some names so that, we can maintain the privacy of certain individuals. We got an email from a guy named Chris, who volunteered with us. He said, "Thank you for allowing me to join in for a few days in Selmer, Tennessee. I wanted to tell you all something, but I didn't want to cry in front of everybody, so I wrote it out." Have you heard this email?
No.
Oh, dude, listen.
But I mean, we've had a lot of conversations and a lot of tears, and you know.
This was one of my experiences from the Jonesboro Hurricane Helene deployment that forever changed my life. This was about 10 days in, and we'd been working in Pensacola for the last few days. We all met at the FOB and got our daily assignments. Mine that day was to take a convoy up to Camp Miller in Pensacola, North Carolina. Bear had said the night before that we were going to see what was needed up there and move some assets up into that hard-hit area. We loaded up and rode up and met with Christian that stood up Camp Miller, and he had been leading the recovery there. After getting there and everybody getting acquainted and looking at their FOB and contact list, Bear decided we would move some of our team up, so they decided to go back down the mountain and handle that assembly of resources. I'd rode by myself, true, all that all happened. I rode by myself. For some reason that morning I wanted to take my own truck, so Bear told me to go do whatever I needed to do that day. I asked Christian what he needed, and he had a list of supplies and recon to be done up Cattail Creek. So I loaded up. You remember Cattail?
That there were rounds
Yeah.
flying like that. Was that location?
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
They handled their own security.
So I loaded up and headed up Cattail. I drove as far as the road was left and packed in the rest. I delivered heaters, propane, and supplies to everybody on the list and started recon. This was where everything got wild. The roads and bridges were gone, so I crossed the creeks and hiked up the hill, going from house to house, marking off the map, the contacts, what houses were no longer there, and seeing what anybody needed. About an hour in, I took a water break, and a guy walked up and we started small talk. He was asking about who we were and why we were up there. I figured it was a local, a bearded, younger, burly mountain man. He said he would hike up with me, and we dropped off another couple of propane tanks and kept on. The guy liked to talk, and we hit it off, and we were shooting the bull about the things going on. We talked about how tough everybody was and how the local attitude in a horrible time was amazing. He had said that 2 people died on this road, and some of the neighbors had seen them go down the mountain in the mudslides. We were walking through a curve in the creek where the water had been 40 foot high when the water was at its peak, and that creek was just about 6 foot wide and maybe 4 foot deep.
Yeah.
And I told him, "You ever wonder why God lets something like this happen to good people?" And he said, "He uses disasters like this for good. We just don't know why at the time." He said, "It got you here, didn't it?" Those words stay in my mind every day. We walked another 30 minutes talking about uncomfortable things I didn't really want to talk to a stranger about, but I figured I wouldn't ever see this guy again and just needed somebody to talk to. One conversation we had was about pastors and about how most of them are just performers. And he said that what we were doing is what the church is supposed to do. Be the hands and feet. We were talking about business, and the man had told me things that were amazing and insightful from such an unassuming mountain man about how the business is not really ours. We are just stewards of it here on earth, and God really owns the business. We talked about how God was not just a church, and it's much more than that. So we round the next curve, start up, and see a couple walking towards us that end up being Worth Weller and his wife. I stopped and talked, and he gave me the interrogation of, "What are you doing here?" And I told him we were from Grindstone, and we were taking supplies and checking up on people. I turned to my right, and the guy that had been walking with me was gone. Nowhere to be seen. I asked Worth where the guy went, and he said nobody was with me. The only guy he saw coming up the hill was me. I know this guy was with me because I could still smell him, and Worth had interrupted our conversation. Worth looked at me like I was crazy when I asked him about the guy that was with me, and he said that there was nobody there. I talked to Worth, and he pointed out some spots on the map that people were already gone and some people that had been giving them trouble. I don't know what I felt. I think it was a little bit of me being crazy. I asked Worth if anybody had died, and he said yes, that there were 2 people died right here, and that Wendy Lapidus, 80 years old, watched her neighbor's house wash down in a mudslide from her bathroom window. I was buffaloed and kept on, talking to a few more contacts, and ran into Worth again and walked down the mountain with him and his wife. I asked his wife where the guy had gone that she had seen with me, and she confirmed that I was alone. I'm convinced the guy was God. And he had put me there through a dozen of coincidences that were actually not coincidences. Her and I talked more about what Grindstone was and why we would come from all over the country to help their little mountain community that we had never heard of. And I had lived there for 40 years. Chris is a local. That hike up the mountain changed me forever. I can take you to the exact spot. I got back in my truck that night and I cried the entire way home. I hate crying, like really hate crying. I was changed in those moments. I had seen things in that month that will eternally stay with me. I saw things I hope my kids will never have to experience, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because it opened the door for me of what the church should be and hit me in the face of what I had been avoiding. I ordered me a new Bible and been getting back into alignment of what I should be doing. If it wouldn't be for a bunch of crazy guys coming from Oklahoma to help our area and doing whatever needed to be done, I would have probably never have been there in that time to experience it. So good things do come from bad. It got me there, didn't it? And now I'm walking with God instead of against him, or at least trying my best. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you letting me join in and accepting me. My life changed forever on Cattail. Your selfless service is an inspiration, and you all are my people. I consider you all brothers, and anything you need that I have, you have. Don't ever hesitate to reach out. You came to Jonesboro to help them, but you helped save me. Thank you to everybody that makes it happen. Keep up the good fight. Thank you, Chris.
Oh, man.
Dude, what an amazing email.
That's incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And I believe it. I believe that the guy that he did walk with was Yah made flesh in a moment.
Yeah.
Because have you ever had an experience like that where you know you're in the presence of somebody but it's not a somebody?
I've had suspicions, but never confirmed detail. Oh wow.
Well, doesn't Paul talk about that? And some of you have entertained angels unaware.
That one that kept going through my
Yeah.
mind as my eyes just fill up with water. You know.
Isn't that amazing? And that, yeah, I'll tell you, in this season, it really strikes me what he said about business. The business belongs to Yah, and we're just stewards of it.
That hit me too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know some of the challenges that we've been facing here,
Oh, absolutely.
and it's 100% true. And that's one of the conversations I and my father have been having. Hey, this thing belongs to you. What are we doing with it? Just tell me what we're doing with it. And so that's good confirmation for me too. And you know, it's called Grindstone Ministries plural. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Why is it plural? Well, because we go wherever it is the Spirit tells us to go. And I remember when Helene happened, Kyle, executive director of Grindstone, was like, I know it's not inside of our circle, but the Spirit is like, we have to go.
Every one of us were like, "Hey, are we up? We gotta go.
Yep.
We gotta go." I mean, day one, myself, Jody, Jadis, Kyle, we rolled in hot,
Yep.
ready to go. And as soon as we got there, things just started moving and clicking.
Yep.
And even those folks at the church and
I saw so many miracles there.
the Cochrans were like,
Yep.
"You're our guys."
Yep. Yep. Taylor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I love that guy.
But-
Such a good guy.
So we go there, wherever it might be, whether it's Ada, Oklahoma, or Prentice, Mississippi, or
Right.
Selmer, Tennessee, or Jonesboro, Tennessee, or wherever, you know, Rolling Fork, or wherever, Mayfield, Kentucky. We go there because the Spirit says go. And we are blessed to be a blessing to those people there who are affected by these storms. But what most people don't understand is that, you know, you've probably heard it's better to give than to receive, right? And like, how does that make sense? The the blessing that comes when you are the person going there. And I don't mean Joel Osteen blessings.
Right.
Like, it's not. Have you gotten a Lambo from deploying with Grindstone? Because I haven't gotten a Lambo.
I would sell that thing so fast.
I'd be like, we could turn this Lambo into probably 2 track hose. You know,
Two track hose and a skid steer. And we're up.
exactly. Maybe a Peterbilt to tow them with. You know, it's not when we say blessings, it's not financial. It's not monetary. It's in the spirit, and these deployments end up becoming like they're like retreats.
Yeah.
You know, I would say it's a men's retreat, but we have women there too.
But you come back exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not just physically exhausted either.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, and there's an element to this because it's incredibly important that when we are operating in the spirit in and of itself is one, it's a choice, but two, it drains you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Which is why it's incredibly important to continue in the presence of the Father.
Mm.
So that you can operate out of that overflow, so that your cup stays filled.
Yep.
And that's something that I'm coming to grips on, is the fact that while I'm out deployed, I've got to stay in the presence of the Father. I've got to keep filling my cup, because it's easy to get distracted by the work that needs to be done, and the loving on the people, and the running back and forth, and the doing of the things that we're doing, and take my attention. Peter walked on water, right? But
Yep.
He sunk because he took his eyes off of the one that made it possible. And in these moments, it's like it's akin to us walking on water. We're doing the impossible because Jesus is making it possible.
Yep.
And it's truly astounding.
It's awesome that you use the phrase distracted,
Yeah.
because what happens to me, I wouldn't categorize as a distraction, but in fact it is. What happens to me is I get jaded. Because, and this is me just being completely honest and vulnerable. Man, we've done this 50 times. We've done it 50 times, right? It's like, oh, look, another pile of debris,
Yep.
right? Like we're going to cut some trees and move some C&D, what used to be houses today, right? And it is easy for me to get in project management mode and see the work that has to be accomplished and forget the reason why the work needs to be accomplished. And I have to remind myself, somebody used to live here, right? This was somebody's house and it's gone now. All of their worldly
Right.
possessions are 3 counties away now, right? Like the whole reason we're doing this is people. It's not the debris. The debris is not the thing that needs to be conquered, right? It's these people becoming overwhelmed that needs to be conquered. They need to be reunited with the Most High in this dark season that they're going through. And it's not just how many trees did you cut today, how much debris did you move today. It's
Right.
my project management brain is like quantifiables. I want to know how many loads of debris did we haul to the dump, how many trees did we cut. That doesn't matter. That's all just the premise for getting us there in the first place to do the work that actually matters. And so I have to.
How many hydraulic lines blew?
Yeah, a lot, especially at that one freaking site where Barb was at.
Man, right.
Oh man, well,
In Mississippi.
yeah, I called over. Barb was at your team,
Yep.
and I called over. I was like, anybody. I was like, I'm looking at a 55-acre mess. Anybody that you don't absolutely need, if you could send them my way, especially with equipment, that'd be awesome. Shalom, brother. And so, pull up a chair. They're over there. And so, Barb came over, and praise the Most High that he did, because, man, we were just breaking stuff left and right.
Oh yeah.
We had 5 machines on that site, and it wasn't until after 1 o'clock in the afternoon that we had more than 2 machines running at any one point. And most of the time it was 1 machine. So, but, you know, and that's the frustration, you know, and it's, oh, look who it is, Buckets and Bibles.
What's up, brother?
Shalom, bro.
Shalom.
Happy Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I appreciate y'all joining me this morning. I put a little thing in the chat because I'm trying to have more conversations with people rather than just talk at the camera.
Yeah.
And I know that there's real people on the other side of the camera too, but I think the conversation is more enriching than me blah 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 at an
Absolutely.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I did want to share something because you guys were talking, and I was super convicted about sharing this one particular thing. In the chats when we're on deployment, there's a deployment chat, and it kind of so we can all comment with each other and where we're at and who's coming, who's going. As one of the young men left, I think it was when we were in Tylertown, staying in Collinsville, Mississippi. One of the young men said, "You know, I came to help Grindstone on this deployment, and you guys just really helped me."
Yep.
And I, you know, because I know the kid, right? And I watched what happened. I watched how that evolves. The blessings that you get from pouring into people. There's so many layers that nobody on the camera will ever see unless you experience it. Not even kinda.
Yep.
There's no way to explain it all. It's so much and so rich that every deployment's life changing for all of us. You know, for all of us.
A thought occurs to me. Thank you guys for tolerating me when I'm in project management mode. For real. And being a full-blown bear asshole, pointing at people with knife hands and yelling instead of loving. Thank you. Yeah. Because I can go there. I do go there often. And it's not necessarily the appropriate place to be. And to me, a lot of times it's like, we're back on the job site.
Yeah.
You know, I'm back in South Texas on 1,600 square miles. And, you know, Kyle said something, because, you know, Kyle's background is oil field.
Yeah.
We were driving from a site that I was on to a site that you were on. That day we came over and you guys were eating church's chicken or whatever it was.
Whatever. It was
I don't even praise God. And so all those little things you take for granted, right? I don't even know where the chicken came from. I was happy to have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kyle made a comment worse to the effect of like, we've got to remember that like no one's burning the clock here. There's no P&L to manage. There's it's not. Like, these are not employees, right? And like everybody here is volunteering their time, and the work we get done in a day is the work that the Father has appointed us to get done in a day.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
You know, even if we broke 19 hydraulic hoses today, which for me is like, I keep saying busted hydraulic lines are a KPI, key performance indicator.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, will you slow down now and recognize what we're actually doing?
Yeah.
Because you don't have 5 machines on the site anymore.
Yeah.
You've got 1 and 4
Yeah, dude.
paperweights.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that was a rough one, man.
That was a rough day.
Dude,
The freaking case Bobcats.
Oh. 5 seconds. Bam! Broke it again. Dang it.
Well, the crimps weren't actually crimped on the hoses.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So they had brand new hydraulic lines on
Yeah.
them. The crimps weren't actually crimped.
No.
Yeah, so it was just the hose was just blowing out of the fitting instantly.
Oh crap.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Like I wasn't even touching it.
And poor Barb was like, "What did you do?" I was like, "I tried to pick up a log."
Kyle drops it off to us. He's like, "No, you can't have it." We're like, "We need it." He's like, "Don't break it." Like 5 seconds later, it's broke. I'm like, "I'm sorry, man." It's
Yeah,
not
but
up.
that first case skid steer, like within 3 minutes of, and this is the Mississippi deployment.
Yep.
Within 3 minutes of the first time Jason even got into it and cranked it over, he lifts it up, moves something, and then all of a sudden,
Boom.
it's just hydraulic fluid going everywhere. We're like, oh, this is one of those deployments.
Yep.
And sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We broke so much stuff. Not from bad stewardship.
No.
Just cause we
No.
broke so much stuff in
Well,
Mississippi.
To kind of circle back to is nobody's punching the clock, right?
Yep.
Nobody's punching the clock here. The labor that you see every morning prior to setting up, out in the field, after the field, when we get back to the fob. It's all labor of love. It's not, nobody's like looking at their watch going, oh, we only got, that's not happening.
Yep.
We're just there until we're done.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it. As long as it takes.
And there are some days where it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and everybody's smoked, and it's like, you're gonna cut your leg off with that chainsaw. Go back to the fob,
Yeah.
right? And we're going back to the fob. Then there's other days. That one site we were at.
Oh, yeah,
is right
dude.
just down the road from the fob.
Yep. You
we-
ran till dark, bro.
Yeah, we were there till almost 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Kyle came back in his shorts and flip flops. Was like, just checking on you. I was like, we're so close. I gotta get this one done. Now that all 5 machines are running at the same time, I gotta get this one
gotta
done.
go.
And then he bless him, he hopped in a machine,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, Kyle can operate. Like he's flying. And that was, that's the other cool thing is once everything starts to click, right? Like I've got Ezra on one track hoe, I'm on another track hoe, I've got Dudley in a skid steer, Kyle in a skid steer, and I forget who, Braden and Wolf were sharing the 3rd skid steer, and everything's finally moving now,
Yeah.
and we're out of hands and feet phase, and now it's just cleanup. Oh, hey, I gotta pee, so Lauren, why don't you sit here real quick and tell them about this, if you would please. And you could even read this real quick. I'll be right back, guys.
Am I reading?
That right there? It's a mail-in show today. Did you talk about that aid rendered? Will I pee?
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
Have a seat.
Y'all
You can
know
s-
who I am, right? I mean, y'all have met me before, I think. I gave my 800 story last night. Did you guys hear about my daughter's hand? There we go.
I'm going
Hi.
I'll be right back.
Hi, Paula.
Okay.
What's up?
Yeah.
How different did y'all's lives change becoming a community? You get a lot more involved with people. A lot more involved. You look kind of familiar, yeah. I would say too, you get more like family. It's really like family. So you do get mad at each other, and then you forgive each other, and then you move on with your life, and you know what I mean? It's not, I feel like people think it's a utopia. They're like, if
Yeah,
I could
it's-
just get to that place. I'm like, no, we are like real people.
Dude, it's
And
hard.
it's-
You've got a lot of
Oh my
personality
God.
flashing.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Like,
Yeah, it ain't,
and,
it's not all
Sitting on
rainbows
the
and unicorns and cupcakes.
and we're all strong personalitied individuals,
Hi, Alyssa. Look at this cool kids at the table. I know, right? Okay, I'm actually supposed to be talking about this. I'm gonna go to that.
Do it.
This is, I'm gonna white it. The travel fact.
Ooh.
Compact, yet sleek, rugged, durable design. Tourniquet, not staged. Should be staged, but this is gonna go to someone else. So, this is actually about to go in the van. I need you to install it for me. Not
Okay.
this exact one, though. I got the black one. It comes in black also. But it goes to the headrest, and it's deployable on both sides. I feel like you guys probably have seen that before. Yoshi, are you here? We're still waiting on that egg to hatch. So it deploys on both sides. I like this one because it's great for moms. It has not just your like trauma stuff in it, like your chest seals and your tourniquets and all that, but it's gonna have your boo-boo capability. There's even like iPads, eye shield, eye wash in there. You know, you get a kid coming in, I've got, dirt in my eye or eyelash, whatever, get it out that way. I really like the travel fact, and they are ready to go out the door today. So if you order it, it will go out this week. It's ready to go. All right, I'm going to read now. Here we go. Yesterday, April 15th, 2025, I received a call from my wife mid-afternoon while I was doing a weed whacking job. She called to inform me that our next door neighbor had ran over a hose bib while mowing her yard. Our neighbor is an older lady who lives by herself. So as any neighbor would, I ended my job early and went home to see how I could help. When I got home, I was prepared to grab some PVC fitting and pipe dope, and I don't know what pipe dope is, that thing?
It's good.
Oh, okay, pipe dope is good,
is-
not the bad kind of dope. And go fix a broken water line. However, upon arriving home, my wife also informed me that I might want to take a medical kit when I go next door to visit my neighbor. She informed me that while pulling the lawnmower off of the broken hose bib, my neighbor had also ran her foot over with the blade that was still spinning. So in my mind, this has to be a push mower, because if you are doing a riding lawnmower, like the moment you lift your weight up, it stops. So it's got to be a push mower. My wife told me the neighbor had come over to ask for help with the broken water line, and would not let my wife or my mother-in-law, who was also there, see to render any aid. With this newfound information, I grabbed the medical kit out of my pickup, a radio for communication, my water bottle, and headed over to see the damage. When I got over to my neighbor's house, I asked her if I could check out her foot and wrap it up for her if she was comfortable with that. Thankfully, the wound on her foot was not very bad. It had only removed the big toenail. Only. And not done a tremendous amount of damage other than that. I used a Burn Tech Burn Shield dressing. That stuff is legit. Rolled gauze and tape to wrap up her foot. I simply wanted to keep it covered to keep debris out of it and keep it moist so when she took her bandage off later that night, it would shower up, it would not stick to her wound. Side note, our burn shield has tea tree oil in it. Tea tree oil is amazing for preventing infections. Okay. After patching her up and seeing what parts I need from the hardware store, I left her with a change of band-aids, a hug, and a smile and went back on my way home. After returning from town later that night, I fixed her water line. It was after dark when I was all done, so I didn't want to knock on the door and bother her. But my wife is going over this morning to turn her water back on and to check up on her. I wanted to share the story because it just goes to show it's not always tourniquets and wound packing gauze, although that stuff is important and irreplaceable in a kit. Sometimes it's the simple stuff. I find I've used more rolled gauze and tape than anything else in any of my kits thus far. The kit I used for this rendered aid was not actually a Refuge Medical kit. It was a kit I put together myself, although I do have multiple Refuge Medical kits and highly recommend them. This is one that I put together for myself that lives in my pickup that covers most of the bases. I want to give a special thanks to TJ and everybody involved in the enterprise for helping me to be in a position to be able to be the light and help my neighbor out. So the gauze and the tape thing is so real.
Yep.
And also, my daughter burnt her hands pretty badly the other day. You don't just use one burn dressing. It was the next morning, it was already time for another one. And then it was time for another one and time for another one. I think we went through 4. And then we switched over to the burn gel. So one is, what is it? One is none. No, 2 is one and 1 is none. So don't think like, oh, I've got one thing of wound packing gauze.
Wound care bucket.
Yeah, wound care bucket.
The wound care bucket and the burn bucket.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We have the burn dressing set, which is on sale.
I need all the buckets.
And
I know,
by the
all the
way,
buckets.
if you're on Bear Independent Patreon, there is a code in the Patreon for you for Refuge.
Yeah.
You should know that. You
That's
should be
buckets
using
for
it.
Wound care buckets.
I can get some
Yeah.
free shipping.
Hi, Miss Lovely Dudley. It's Monday, everybody. It's definitely Monday. So TJ's coming back, but one of our wonderful grindstone ladies has walked in. She's so sweet. What are you up to? I didn't even know you were gonna be up here.
Well, I kind of haven't been up here in a while. It's a little bit of a commute now.
It is.
It's a little bit of a commute now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. A little bit of a commute. So I saw it in the chat and I was like, well, I'm about to shoot
Tea Trail is
we're not
awesome.
ready.
Had a
She's
cat
in the
bite my
garden.
thumb,
Babe, I'm
swelled
like,
up, got
"Oh,
pink
yes."
and warm to the
Okay.
touch. Yeah, Tea Tree is legit. No, he's not peeing. Been a good live this morning. Is there a burn care bucket now? There is, Fanny. Aha!
There's a wound care right
Please
here.
hold. I will get it.
Oh, there it is.
What are we getting?
Fanny wanted to know if there's a burn care bucket now.
There is.
There is, and it's so beautiful. I've been Vanna Whiting things. This is the burn.
Oh, space chill.
And it, no, you probably can't see. It has so much stuff. When I have to pull things out of these buckets to take the photos, it makes my life really difficult because there's so many things, and I have to lay it out all pretty. So yeah, you want to? Oh wait, you can't.
Nope.
He can't shill,
He's good.
but I can. You should get this because burns suck. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it back to TJ now.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Lori.
I like the hat.
These
Tell
two-
him about that.
Hey, this is
It's an American made hat.
all American made. Right here, made in the USA.
See, now I gotta get one.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was in here yesterday and I just went to the bathroom and happened to pass by
I
the
saw 'em.
table where they were at, and I'm like, I got to.
So we have.
So I texted Lauren. I was like, "Hey, reserve one. I'm buying that."
So we have those. That came from here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
This comes from Refuge Medical. You can purchase this hat. They've got tan. They've got black. It's a tactical dad style with, the Velcro on the front. Corral patch Velcro on the back, and not a button. I love that.
Yeah. Especially if you're wearing like ear pro or
Uh-huh.
something over the top of your head
yeah,
with the
Yeah,
button.
100%.
All right, so let's talk about the Supreme Court real quick, and then I got an email that came in to Intel at Bear Independent as well. So, Supreme Court has agreed to examine the controversial practice of nationwide injunctions, setting the stage for a potential landmark ruling that could dramatically alter the balance of power between the executive branch and the federal judiciary. The case centers on 3 federal judges who issued nationwide injunctions blocking President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. In a move that highlights the growing tension between branches of government, the court announced it could hear oral arguments on May 15th to address the fundamental question of whether district judges possess the authority to issue rulings that affect the entire country rather than just the parties involved in the case. So, does a judge in Seattle or Dallas or Oklahoma City get to make a ruling that affects the federal executive branch and therefore the entire country? What do you think?
So, from my limited knowledge and understanding of how the judicial system works, if they establish, under the precedent of laws, what they do is establish precedent, which essentially means that if it does move up to that federal level, the precedent has already been established by a ruling. So yes and no. That's kind of a gray area in my mind.
So, yes, but then the Supreme Court, if a case gets to the Supreme Court, can rule on that case and nullify any precedents at a lower level
That's
up
true.
to that point.
That's true.
And so, but then the question is, does the district court, say in Seattle, get to tell the federal government you can't do that when they're operating as a district, not at the federal level? Because in my mind, it's only the Supreme Court that, you got your 3 branches: legislative, judicial, executive. So the judicial branch, the courts, at the federal level can tell the executive branch at the federal level what they can and can't do. That's the checks and balances there.
But it's just, to me, that's a depth of a check and balance.
Yes, I would say in that district,
Yeah.
if that's the ruling in that district, okay. And in fact, there's been some of that as far as these deportations of illegal immigrants, where in the Northeast, the Trump administration has been relocating people to be deported to Louisiana because it's a different district, and then trying those cases in Louisiana and then deporting them from there. And it's just this weird, like, game of cards. What's that? You got the 3 cups with the card underneath it?
No.
No?
Talking about sleight of hand?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Initially, yeah. There's a name he's looking for. I can't think of it.
It's not 3-card Monty. What is it? You guys know. Is it Monty? 3-card Monty? It's 3-card Monty.
Yep.
Okay. Shell game. And it's just a weird place to be. I have strong opinions about the whole thing. But it's all indicative to me of end state empire.
Yeah.
And I opened the show by saying, hey, I don't want this thing to fail. I'm not cheering for the decline of America. We all have kids, and I want our kids to inherit a better life than what I've had.
100%.
But how that's going to look is, I don't think that life that they're going to inherit needs to in any way be subcontracted out to any level of government, because I think the system that we call the United States of America is in decline, possibly even gone. And as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, Trump is ignoring Supreme Court orders, but Biden ignored Supreme Court orders.
Oh, yeah.
And Trump 1.0 ignored Supreme Court orders, and Barack Obama ignored Supreme Court orders, and Bush ignored and the issue with the Supreme Court that I see is they don't have an army. There's no forcing mechanism. They have paper. Well, the court said you must do this, or what? Or we'll impeach you. Okay, have at it.
I mean, that's literally the whole point of the the executive branch is to enforce the orders that come in from the judicial and the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
But if they
if they're
disagree,
not, if they disagree and they're not effectively, like, endorsing and acting on the laws that are set forth or these orders, that's a problem.
so that brings me to this email that was sent in to intelbearindependent.com. Last month, my mom was driving home after dinner in my daughter's house in Madera, California. Where is that? Do you know where that is?
Sounds like southern.
Yeah, I thought it was southern, but I don't know where in Cali that is. When she found herself in what she assumed was a DUI checkpoint. Upon driving up, Madera, Madera. Upon driving up, the officer asked for her ID and where she was coming and going from. He then waved her on. My mom thought it might have been an ICE checkpoint, but it turned out to be a firearms checkpoint. Yes, a firearms checkpoint. The following day, the local news covered it in their stories. They were bragging how they were able to confiscate a variety of weapons from drivers, including a coveted AK-47.
Is it north of LA?
Is it?
Yeah.
North of LA? Okay.
So I spent some time in LA and Burbank. It does sound familiar.
It sounds vaguely familiar to me. I haven't spent any time there, but I might have been near it.
It's Southern California.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought so. It's near Fresno. Okay.
That's right.
So that's interesting. Firearms checkpoints. Now this is in Cali. One could argue that's a direct violation of the Second Amendment, right there. I think many of y'all understand this. I'm a biblical literalist. What does it say? Okay, so we're gonna start with what does it say, and I've discussed ad nauseum the fourfold interpretation: literal, symbolic, moral, and then what's called anagogical, or concerned with the ascent of the soul. And then on the Hebrew side, not the Jewish side, the Hebrew side, you have the parashat, which is literal, the remez, which is symbolic, the drash, which is comparative, and then the sod, which is the mystical. So it can mean more than what it just says, but you should start with what does it say, literally. I'm the same way with the Constitution. Now, sidebar, it amazes me how many constitutional literalists we have that will jump through hurdles to not be a biblical literalist while claiming the name of Messiah. Ooh, but I digress. It's like this document that was written by dudes I take absolutely literally. This document that was written by dudes inspired by the creator of the universe, I'll make it say whatever I want it to say. But I digress. I'm a constitutional literalist as well. What does it say? And so I take shall not be infringed really seriously.
We have the right to bear arms.
These are bare arms, yes. So much so that I think if you have somebody say they've been committed of a felony and they've done their time, they've made their restitution, their rights to arms should be restored. And if the argument is they can't be trusted with weapons, then why did you let them back out in public in the first place? So they're not actually, there hasn't been restitution, has there? And that's a fairly controversial topic, but especially as we find ourselves in the declining stages of an empire, I think people should be armed. And I've known lots of felons, air quote. Now, there are other types of felons. We will find you with Caleb House, and you will never breathe fresh air again. But there's lots of people who've been jammed up on felonies it was BS, and they should have their rights restored. Or it was nonviolent. You know, there's all kinds of nonviolent felonies.
Oh, yeah.
And so
There's all kinds of white collar crimes that will get you.
if you've made your restitution, you should be made whole again. That's my 2 cents. But man, as far as California doing firearms checkpoints, you spent a lot of time in Cali. Is that new or is that common?
Depends where you're at.
Okay.
I think that's probably a little bit newer thing. But because where they're at, they're near Fresno. There's a lot of gang activity in Fresno and all of California, really. So any big cities and Fresno Bulldogs, which are an offshoot of Norteños, a bunch of Serranos. It's just a mess. Biker gangs, they're all over the place. You know, yeah.
Is it because the weather is so good? Like, why?
Lawlessness increases, man.
Oof.
That's why.
Yeah. 41 million people in California.
I lived in Sac.
Yeah.
6 million in just that area.
Oof. Bro,
Yeah.
that's 50% more than this entire state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only 4 million people in Oklahoma total, and 1.5 million in Oklahoma City, 1 million are in Tulsa. The other 1.5 million are scattered amongst the dozens of counties. It's like if you get out in the Panhandle, those 3 counties out in the Panhandle have on average 30,000 people per county or less. Yeah. We have one of the more populous counties in Oklahoma, and there's 60,000 people in this county.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The last town that I lived in on the West Coast, which was in Oregon, had 56,000 people, and it was a little town to me.
In the town.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
the little town.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of in the sticks here a little bit.
That's why I moved from Salina, Texas. Because when we lived there were 5,700 people in Salina, and it started growing so fast. Their goal, the Economic Development Corporation, was to get to 30,000 people and then 130,000 people. And I was like, well, if I wanted to live in Frisco, I'd live in Frisco.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in, or McKinney,
Yeah.
or Allen. I don't want to live there.
Yep.
Right? I want my kids to be able to play catch in the front yard,
Yeah.
and they can't. And
Take
so,
me out to Ponder. That's what I want to live like that.
Yeah.
Like nowhere really.
yeah.
I remember when El Dorado through Little Elm and into Frisco was just a freaking barely a 2-lane road, and part of it was dirt.
Dude.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And now it's 4-lane road, and talking about driving down the 380 corridor. Like, holy crap, it's a freaking traffic jam from sun up to sundown.
There's no dove hunting in Collin County anymore.
Not
That's
even a
for
little
sure.
bit.
You
That's
get the cops
true.
called on you that
Yeah.
fast.
Like that.
Yep. There's the man with a gun. It's Texas.
Yeah.
All the men should have guns.
Oh, yeah.
I miss the sign. Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I miss it.
Not anymore.
Nah.
Not
There's so
anymore.
much pride.
This is the friendly state.
It's written in
No, it's
Arabic
not. Come
now.
on.
The sign.
Oh, is
Oh
it
my
really?
God.
It ought to be.
Oh no.
All right. Okay. So second point, getting back to Trump's immigration stuff that he's going through here. Also sent into intel@bearindependent.com. Also last month, a number of fellow contractors around Salt Lake City experienced ICE raids at various job sites. One of my friends lost 43 workers in one day, and his other employees are now afraid to show up for work. Since then, he's been struggling to find workers to complete these large construction projects. I too have a few guys working for me from South America who are also worried about their situation. One of these guys also owns a jewelry store. They said Trump is not renewing their visa status, so once it expires, they aren't sure what will happen. These guys are not criminals nor gangbangers. They are hardworking family men who own houses and businesses and are contributing to our great nation. Hopefully the current administration will be more lenient with these types of immigrants versus the bad ones. Time will tell, but with the tariffs going into force and immigration raids happening, what will happen to the labor pool in this country, not to mention the supply chain situation. Would like to hear your thoughts on these topics. So I've worked a lot of construction. You're currently in construction. You've worked construction. What are your thoughts?
I can't comment on this one.
Okay.
I don't like it. I think there is something that used to be acceptable and good and okay, and now it's because of leadership in our government. It's been abused to the point where it's no longer good.
Okay.
And that's about as much as I can say.
Tato?
Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to say on that. So, the level of if you're putting it on a standard of like between what's righteous and unrighteous, there's just not a whole lot that's really righteous anymore. There's no standard.
So, all right. Biblically, there's one set of instructions and laws for the Israelite and the sojourner within their gates.
Yep.
Okay? Israel not meaning nation state in the Middle East, Israel meaning the people of the Most High, which is an entirely different conversation. But I would submit biblically, Ephesians 2 and Romans 11, if you believe in Messiah, you are a part of the nation of Israel. Okay? Which gets into, there's one set of rules for everyone. And so, and we know from Proverbs, unequal weights and measures are an abomination to the Most High. And so, we already have a multi-tiered justice system. If you have enough money, nothing's going to stick to you.
Yep.
Right? If you have a public defender, it's probably going to stick to you. Okay? So we already have that going on. We see the same thing from a taxation standpoint, that if you get to the point where you make enough money, you can afford the best attorneys and CPAs to where you're paying 0 to 10% taxes, maybe negative taxes, getting money back, even making billions and billions of dollars. On the other end of the spectrum, if you don't make a whole lot of money, you're getting taxpayer money back without having ever paid into the system. That's also unrighteous. So that's on a societal side, the rules side, but then there's the people within the society, right? I don't think it's right for people who are non-citizens to get thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per month in benefits that came from somebody else like me or my brothers who are out there working and paying taxes. That's not right either, because the mechanism for charity is the church, which is the body of Messiah. It's not the government. A whole different talking point. But then Messiah himself says, you shall know them by their fruits. What do? And I don't like the fact that the previous administration let in millions, tens of millions of people to come in here without being vetted. And we know that a lot of them are very dangerous people.
Yeah.
I also know that most of them are not very dangerous people. And I'll give you an example. When I was working in South Texas, King Ranch and Kennedy Ranch sits just south of the King Ranch. And in order to get onto that job site, we had to go through a Border Patrol checkpoint on Highway 77 every day just to turn into the job. And we got all kinds of briefings about how dangerous these illegals are coming over the border, and if you see any, report them to Border Patrol, and Border Patrol will come get them and arrest them and blah, blah, blah. And the job site was 1,600 square miles, okay? Of sugar sand and mesquite bushes. That's it. That's it. Right on the Gulf of Mexico. And so I'm out there one day and I'm driving around and I see about 40 or 50 people running from sand dune to sand dune. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I got a 4-wheel drive F-250 back when they used to make real trucks, and put in 4-wheel high, sand dunes, drive up over there, and they're cowering underneath this mesquite bush that's maybe 6 feet tall, maybe 8 feet across, trying to get some shade. It's summer, it was 108 degrees, and they're crowding around this bush, and it was mostly women and children, and they looked like they were gonna die. And like that big white cooler right there, I had one of those that lived on my truck. And when you first turn into the job site, at our laydown yard, we had semi-loads of water and 12 ice machines. Everybody had to have a cooler with ice and water in it. You didn't get onto the job site without having one of those because, exposure, heat stroke was a real thing.
Yep.
So I had this cooler filled with, 100 water bottles and 50 pounds of ice. And so I started handing out waters because these people were gonna die.
Yeah.
And gracias, thank you so much. And because I couldn't, from a humanity standpoint, look at these people and go, you know what, I'm calling the cops right now. I'm not doing it. And so I gave them a bunch of water, and I told them, and I don't speak Spanish muy bueno, and they didn't hablan the Espanol or the Inglés muy bueno. So hand gestures and the whole nine. I was like, you can't stay here. You can't stay here. You got to keep moving. And then an hour later, I run into a Border Patrol guy, and he's like, hey man, what's going on? I was like, there was a bunch of people over there. They're not there anymore. Okay. And he's like, well, we'll see if we can find them. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. And so there's a humanity level to it too. I don't like people coming in illegally. I think we should have a much better legal immigration system than we already have. And I think 90+% of these people could and would contribute to our American society and live by our American ethics, if you can even define what that is anymore.
And a lot of them who are here do.
100%. 100%. But I also think equal weights and measures, those people should be putting into the system, just like the rest of us, not extracting from the system. And so, and to specifically to the question of trades, I think trades are incredibly important, and for decades, most of my life, trades have been looked down upon. That if you wanted to, you know, be a real boy, grow up one day, you would go to college and get a degree and work some kind of suit, you know, where you had to have, or work some kind of job where you had to have a suit or at least a shirt with a collar on it, and that's how you can make real money. And it's like, man, I've grown up around men my entire life with big, fat, hard, calloused hands, farmers and ranchers, and you know, my dad owned a power construction company. All it was hard work every day.
Yeah.
If it's 0 degrees outside, you're out in 0 degrees. If it's 100 degrees outside, you're out in 100 degrees. You can't get the truck to where that pole goes. You take a spoon and a digging bar and you go and dig the hole by hand, carry the pole in, stand it up by hand, then climb it with a sawdust pump and drill a hole through it. So, because we can't get the truck there. And that was just life, right? And so the trades, you know, my son is going to electrical school right now. He's literally right now on a job site right now working. He works in construction right now while also going to school. And he's going to be an electrician one day, which is awesome. And he'll make buku bucks because not enough people are in the trades right now. But that's the issue. You can't pull 90% of the labor pool out of an entire industry and expect to backfill it with somebody that takes years. It takes years to develop that skill set. Like, you're an awesome painter. How long did it take you to become an awesome painter?
A long time.
Okay. And so somebody walks on the job day one. Do they know how to do the job?
No.
Okay.
No.
But the job's got to get done, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now let's say I'm the builder, Heath is the buyer, okay, and you're the contractor. And Heath's like, when am I going to get my house? I'm like, I don't know. We're a little behind. Let me get with the contractor. I'm like, Jode, hurry up. And all you have are brand new guys. Is the quality of that end product better or worse?
Definitely worse.
Way worse.
Way worse. Not even, yeah, that's the thing. It's about craftsmanship, which is something that we don't have a lot of anymore.
Mhm.
Is people would take a trade and that was their craft.
Mm-hmm.
They would refine it and get better and better and better to, you know, to the point where there were, when they taught the new guys that came in, they were taught from the basics of it and built all the way up from the hardest stuff that you'll never ever do in your life, but now you know how to do it and you respect the fact of the quality that you're now putting out. And then they set a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And that standard reflects, and that's how you get repetitive customers. That's how you keep deals when you're a contractor with builders or homeowners, because you can get all the advertising you want, but if you're turning out crap,
Yep.
it's going to catch up with you.
Well, that's even from a manufacturing perspective. I spent 10 years working at Peterbilt in North Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, COVID happened, right? There were a lot of employees that got laid off. And if you had a good enough clock number, yeah, you remained working,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but at that time, a lot of people got displaced so that you could maintain a certain number of build rate,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of, you know, employees with lower clock numbers were in, quite frankly, really physical, shitty departments to work in,
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. So being a test technician, knowing all the ins and outs of the trucks and everything, I know whenever there's moves made.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got people who used to work in cab trim now working in cab set, and they don't know anything about the wiring,
Right.
right? So you see all the quality, or even something as simple as you've got a new person who's setting a fuel tank, and by the way, they're reaching inside, not looking at what they're doing, and they cut the zip tie that holds the harness that feeds the power to their sending unit.
Mm-hmm.
And reads the fuel gauge, they cut the wire in the process.
Right.
Yeah, right. So all of these different things, it shows up in the quality whenever I'm doing all of my checks and and verifying and testing of systems and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Which, who has to fix all of that?
Yep.
My quota of five, 6, 7 trucks a day now goes down to 2 or 3 because there's so much more to fix.
Right.
Right? Because we have to maintain a certain standard of quality before I can release the truck to the customer.
My dad used to have a sign that hung in his office that said, if you can't find the time to do it right, when are you going to find the time to do it over?
100%.
And like that stuck with
It's
me.
huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, people used to take pride in their work,
Right.
right? And you had a reputation. You know, you can read all through Proverbs. Your reputation matters. There's also a book, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and one of the laws is reputation matters. Guard it with your life, right? And so,
Well, that's the entire precipice of the idea of being a man at the gates. How can you be a man at the gates if you don't have the reputation to support it? And here's what that man looks like, right?
and you shall know them by their works.
Bingo.
if their works are trash,
Yeah.
woo, you know, he who could be trusted with little could be trusted with much. You know, if they keep cutting the wire to the sending unit when they're cutting the zip tie, like that's all they're ever gonna do until they get that figured out. So, you know, I wouldn't be in a hurry right now to buy a new manufactured house if I could help it currently. I would be, I'd be much in support of people getting into the trades, because the industry is going to need it, and you can all the way make not just a living, but a good living if you know what you're doing in the trades.
Right.
And that, you know, even living in nowhere, Oklahoma, there's huge demand right now for good contractors. You know, most of the contractors for our county here come over from Arkansas. When you need somebody, you know, a licensed trade person, you know, you're not finding many licensed electricians, HVAC technicians, plumbers, septic guys. Gosh, it took 3 weeks just to get the septic guy to come to my house after I had given him the deposit.
Yeah.
He pushed me off for 3 weeks. Would machinist count? Well, there's actually there's several large metal fab shops here in this county, and they do really good work. Eastern Oklahoma Fabrication, shout out to them. They fix a lot of this stuff that Grindstone breaks. We appreciate them deeply. So as far as deporting everyone, I get the argument that, well, if they're here illegally, they are de facto criminals and therefore they need to go home and reapply. I understand that and I get it. But in business, we have what we call op drag, operational drag. That's a huge amount of operational drag. And I think the problem is we don't have a good vetting system in place. We've never had a good vetting system in place. And until we do, how do we know these people are who they say they are? I want all the violent criminals gone. If they're not supposed to be here, get them out. And they should be in that giant prison in Venezuela, as far as I'm concerned.
How much of the operational drag is within our system alone? I mean, take a look at the ATF and you know, if you wanted to buy a suppressor, for example, for your firearm,
Yep.
hey, like, you're gonna pay a $200 tax stamp, and then you're going to wait 8 months to a year just to even figure out if you're gonna get this suppressor. Whereas now, all they did was change how they did the processing,
Yep.
and what it would be was you send your information to the ATF, they send it to the FBI, they do their thing, and then it goes back to the ATF. Well, instead, they just decided, hey, send the information directly to the FBI, they send it to the ATF, and all of a sudden, 4 days, you've got what you need.
I hope they repeal the NFA. I don't think that's going to happen
No,
Probably not.
based upon the leadership that I've seen.
you're talking about $200 per.
I know, but whatever. Like I said, I'm a constitutional literalist. Shall not be infringed, and you cannot license a right. I mean, we have myriad court cases. There's lots of precedent on that. You can't license a right, but yet we do. Driver's license, fishing license. You know.
They just found a way to monetize it, is all it
Yeah.
is.
Yep. All right. That's the show for today. We talked a lot about Grindstone. If you want to be a part of what Grindstone has going on, go to grindstoneministries.com. Caleb House, if the Spirit convicts you and you want to be involved in our counter trafficking ministry, go to Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. refugemedical.com right now. Travel Facts and OpFacts are back in stock, shipping fast. And the end of May 30th, I am teaching from right here live our 4-hour Responder 1 class. You can buy that class on its own at the training tab at refugemedical.com, or all orders $299 and up right now, you get that class for free. So that's a $100 value for free right there, and you'll be trained on how to use your kit. Radio Made Easy, if you don't know how to use your radio, there's a 2-day class with Radio Made Easy coming up, being taught from right here, which is going to be amazing because Evan knows his stuff way better than I do. Volunteers at calebhouse.org if you feel called to volunteer, says Lamppost in the chat. And what else? What do you guys got? Anything?
If you're wanting to volunteer with Grindstone, please go to the website, put your information in. You will go through a background check because that's standard procedures and operations. That's just what we do. But please be patient with us. And we want every one of you who have a heart set and a mindset to serve. We want you to be out here serving with us. But we do need your patience as far as what that's concerned.
I'll say this too with the background check. If you've got a past, we all have a past.
Yeah.
Having a past doesn't preclude you from coming to serve with Grindstone.
Right.
It just, there's certain people that have very egregious pasts, say the purview of Caleb House. No, you're not coming. We don't associate with people like that. But have had and have all kinds of people who have a past who have been made new by the blood of the Son, come and volunteer with Grindstone. And so just understand we're not saying if you've got a past you can't come work with us. We just need to know who we're dealing with.
Yes.
So
Come serve, guys. We appreciate you.
yep. Anything else? Buckets and Bibles YouTube channel.
Yep.
Tactically Torah YouTube channel. They talk about preparedness and Bible stuff and all the things that we talk about here. You were what, my 37th subscriber? 10th 10th subscriber.
Yes.
I was like, who's this guy? You're always
I
listening
was
to
I
him.
was
He
late
sounds
to the game.
mean.
Yeah, 87,000 I think when I came
Wow.
on.
Praise God.
Yeah.
You know, back then I was living in Aubrey. And I was like, I gotta reach out to this guy. Never did. I wish I had before. But it's like, we're 30 miles away from each other.
Yeah, it's okay though. Here we are now. We're 0 miles away from each other. All right, I'm gonna pray because we do that around here. Good morning, Father Yahuwah. Father, thank you for allowing us to wake up today. Father, thank you for brothers and sisters and for having purpose and meaning and being able to be your hands and feet and do work that matters for your kingdom. Father, thank you for everybody within the sound of my voice. And I pray whatever they are going through, that they remember that you are sovereign over the darkness too, that it belongs to you, and that these moments are for us to learn to trust you better and to get to know you better, and for the refining of our character and for the betterment of our soul, and that there is nothing to fear but you. Father, I pray that today you would provide for us and give us our daily bread as we do our absolute best to conduct ourselves in a way that puts a smile on your face. Father, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that's not of you, we rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father, please give us peace that surpasses all understanding. Give us strength and power and authority in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Let us be a light, be a blessing to the whole world. Put us where we need to be. Give us the words that we need to speak. Continue to be sovereign over our lives. Father, thank you for redemption by the blood of Messiah, that we would have a way to come home again. Thank you for relentlessly pursuing us and loving us, even as we were completely set apart from you. And now we get to be set apart in you. Father, Yah, we love you. We praise you. We thank you for this day. In Yeshua's name. Amen. All right, y'all. I'm curious in the comments. I want to have more conversations with people on camera rather than me just talking at the camera. And if this is something that you enjoyed, you like this format, please let me know in the comments, both on the live stream and once this becomes converted over to a video. I would like the data set, and you know, we touched on the news today, but I resolved to do better. So see y'all when we see y'all. Happy Monday. Go be the light. Shalom, everybody.